The sun dipped low over the crowded streets of Manila, painting everything in gold and dust. Amid the noise of honking jeepneys and vendors calling out prices, a small voice rose above it all, clear, trembling, and heartbreakingly beautiful. It belonged to Liam, a 12-year-old boy with bare feet and eyes too old for his age. He stood on a street corner clutching a cracked microphone, powered by a tiny speaker someone had thrown away months ago. Every note he sang seemed to come straight from his heart, raw and full of longing. People slowed as they passed, surprised that such a powerful voice came from a child in ragged clothes. Some smiled sadly, some filmed him for a moment, but few stopped long enough to drop a coin into the dented tin box at his feet. Still, Liam kept singing, his mother's favorite song, the one she used to hum when she was still healthy enough to walk him to school. Now, she lay in a small hospital bed at home, her lungs weak and her medicine almost finished. Each night, Liam would bring her the few pesos he earned. "I'll get you better soon, Mama," he would whisper. And though she smiled through the pain, they both knew it wasn't enough. But Liam believed in something stronger than money. He believed in the power of music, in the hope that maybe, somehow, his voice could reach someone who could help. As the wind carried his final note through the busy street, a small crowd had gathered, their faces soft with emotion. None of them knew the boy's story, but every person who heard him felt it, a voice full of love, struggle, and faith that refused to fade, even when the world seemed too loud to listen. As Liam's final note faded into the Manila evening, the crowd began to scatter, but one man didn't move. He stood a few feet away, frozen, holding his phone half raised. His name was Daniel, an American music producer visiting the Philippines in search of new talent, though he hadn't expected to find it on a dusty street corner. For a moment, he wondered if what he'd heard was real. The boy's voice had that rare kind of honesty that no studio could ever create. It wasn't perfect, but it was pure, and it hit something deep inside him. Daniel slowly approached, careful not to startle the boy. "Hey, kid," he said gently, "that song, where did you learn to sing like that?" Liam looked up, shy and uncertain, clutching his microphone as if it were a lifeline. "From my mother," he answered softly. "She says music can heal hearts, even the broken ones." His words caught Daniel off guard. In that instant, he saw not just a street performer but a story, a soul pouring everything into a single voice. A jeepney roared past, drowning out the noise for a moment, but Daniel didn't move. He watched as Liam picked up the few coins in his tin box, counted them quietly, then tucked them away with care. There was no bitterness in the boy's eyes, only a quiet determination, a belief that tomorrow might be better if he kept singing today. Without saying much more, Daniel pressed a few bills into the box and whispered, "Keep singing, Liam. The world needs to hear you." Then, as he walked away, he hit record on his phone. The video captured the moment, the cracked speaker, the fading sunset, and a boy's voice so full of soul that it would soon shake hearts far beyond the streets of Manila. 2 weeks later, Liam stood behind a heavy curtain, his small hands trembling as he clutched a microphone almost too big for him. The bright lights of a Manila talent show stage spilled through the gap in the curtain, painting his anxious face in gold. He could hear the murmur of the audience, the judges chatting, the faint hum of cameras. For a boy who had spent his life singing to strangers on the streets, this stage felt like another world. Beside him stood Daniel, smiling reassuringly. "Just sing like you did that day," he whispered. "Don't think about the crowd. Sing for your mother." When Liam stepped onto the stage, a hush fell. His clothes were simple, his shoes worn, and a few people in the audience whispered, assuming he was just another kid with a dream too big for his world. One of the judges leaned over and sighed softly, ready for another forgettable performance. Then the music began, a soft piano intro that echoed through the hall, and Liam closed his eyes. The first note left his lips like a prayer. The hall fell silent. His voice, tender yet powerful, carried emotion so deep it seemed to pull the air from the room. Every word trembled with truth, years of struggle, love, and hope wrapped in melody. Camera zoomed in on the judges. One of them wiped away a tear. The audience leaned forward, breathless, as if afraid to break the spell. When the final note faded, the silence lasted only a second before the hall erupted in applause, wild, thunderous, unstoppable. People rose to their feet. Some cried openly. Daniel, watching from backstage, felt his heart swell. The boy who once sang for coins had just sung his way into 1,000 hearts, and unknowingly, into the world spotlight. Backstage, the roar of applause still echoed like a heartbeat in the distance. Liam stood frozen, clutching the microphone against his chest as if afraid it might all disappear if he let go. Tears welled in his eyes, not from fear this time, but from something deeper, something that felt like a dream slowly turning real. Stagehands passed by, some smiling, others patting him on the shoulder, whispering, "You did amazing, kid." But Liam could barely hear them. His thoughts were with his mother. Then a crew member approached, holding out a phone. "It's for you," she said gently. Liam hesitated, confused, until he heard a familiar, trembling voice on the other end. "Liam, my son." It was his mother, her voice weak but full of pride. "I saw you, Anak. I saw everything." Tears slipped down Liam's cheeks. "Mama, did you hear them? They clapped for me," he said through shaky laughter. His mother's voice broke. "You didn't just sing for me, Liam," she whispered. "You sang for every mother who prays her child never gives up." Her words hit him like sunlight breaking through clouds. For a moment, everything else, the cameras, the crowd, the lights, faded away. All that existed was her voice, and the love that had carried him this far. Behind him, Daniel stood quietly, watching with misty eyes. He had seen hundreds of performers, but never a moment like this, a boy whose song had reached hearts across the world and healed one closest to his own. As Liam hung up, Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "You changed something tonight," he said softly. Liam looked up, eyes still wet. "I didn't mean to," he whispered. "I just wanted my mom to smile." And in that instant, Daniel realized, that was exactly why the whole world would remember him. A year later, the same Manila street that once echoed with the sound of a cracked speaker was alive again, but this time, for a different reason. Bright banners hung from the lampposts, reading, "The Liam Foundation, Voices for Hope." Children gathered with tiny guitars and microphones, their laughter blending with the music floating through the air. At the center of it all stood Liam, now a little taller, his smile warm and confident, holding the same microphone that once carried his dreams into the world. His voice had taken him far, his talent show performance had gone viral across continents, and people everywhere had been moved by the story of the poor Filipino boy who sang for his mother. The money that followed didn't change him, it healed instead. His mother had recovered, now standing proudly in the crowd, her eyes full of joy. Together, they decided to use what they earned to help other children who shared the same struggles, to give them music lessons, school supplies, and hope. As Liam sang again on that same corner, the sun dipped low, just like it had that very first evening. This time, the street was silent not because of surprise, but out of respect. His voice was still soulful, still humble, but now it carried something even greater, purpose. Daniel stood nearby, filming once more, though this time with pride instead of discovery. When the song ended, the children clapped, their faces glowing. Liam smiled at them and said softly, "You don't need a big stage to be heard. You just need to believe in your voice." His words drifted through the warm Manila air, carrying a message that had once changed his life. When kindness meets courage, even the smallest voice can change the world.